I just funded my retirement tax-free ATM for life. So let's pay that tax now. Go self-directed, get a 10, 15, 20% return, numbers off the chart. So I want to chunk at it. And maybe over 3, 5, or 6 years, I've now converted everything to Roth. But I don't have to take a bloodbath in 1 year and jump into a tax bracket that doesn't make sense. That's called chunking, Roth chunking.
Welcome to Wealthy On. I'm your host, Andrew Brill. Setting yourself up on the right path to life financially can be tricky, but we'll explore that path and how to get there right now. I'd like to welcome Mark Kohler to Wealthy On. Mark is a CPA, a lawyer. He is the founder and senior partner at KKOS Lawyers and is committed to nurturing the American dream for his clients. Mark, welcome to Wealthy On.
Thanks for having me. It's an honor, truly.
I guess let's start there. I do a lot of these and we get comments, stop talking about the American dream. It doesn't exist. So I'm going to ask you, does it exist and is it attainable at this point?
It absolutely exists, but let's keep in mind, it's a subjective term. What may be one person's American dream could be someone else's, could be far from someone else's American dream. And so I like to have a very liberal definition of that in the sense that it could be someone just simply owning their own home, being out of debt, having a great job, and living with freedom. You know, just that alone could be just, and think about that, how incredible that is in the world to maybe even comprehend. And then to someone else, it could be like, man, I got an idea. I'm going to build it and grow it and blow it up and go to the next level and do all that, which could be a nightmare for someone else, you know. But the beauty is we can all choose how we want to live in this incredible country. And the tax and legal strategies and structure for America gives you that latitude and opportunity.
Let's talk about that a little bit. And I appreciate, I watched I think your most recent video, and you talked about your kids and sitting down at the table talking about real estate. And, I have 3 kids. 2 of my sons are out of college. One is going back into medical school. That's a whole different story. But they talk about never being able to own a home. In this climate, my sons are like, it's gone for me. You and mom were in great shape. You had real estate was, when you bought, was attainable. They never think it's attainable now.
Well, okay. And again, I love this because if I was sitting with your sons, I go, what kind of home are you defining? I'm not talking about a 2.5, coastal Miami Beach, whatever. Here's an example. My son, I've got a son and a daughter who are already homeowners by age 25. And now my son, because it depends on where you're trying to buy and what you're trying to buy. Come on, kids, because here's the example. My son is a wonderful example. He's in college paying rent like $800 a month for a little dorm room, blah, blah, blah. And I was going to buy a rental property for him to manage and do his thing. And I was like, hold up, what am I doing? Son, he'd been helping me with rentals his whole life. He's 23 at this point. I'm like, let's buy your a rental. Let's buy your own place and do a BRRR. Let's just, rehab it and let you live in it while you're in college. He's like, all right. So in the state of Idaho, where he was going to school, there was a rural development loan that if your income was low enough, there was a no money down loan. And he only had to pay for the appraisal. So he bought an $80,000 single family home in this little town that was a 20-minute commute to the college. Fine. He hated that commute. But for a $500 appraisal fee, he closed on this thing. And his mortgage payment with mortgage insurance, the whole 9 yards, was the same, around $800 that he was paying in rent. 2 years later, after graduating from college, he sold it for $130,000. Tax-free. He lived in it the requisite 2 out of 5 year, the home owner's personal residence exemption. And he took that and rolled it into a house in Phoenix that cost 3 times as much. I get it. But it's like, kids, you don't need to live in a home like your mom and dad live. Wait till you're 50 years old. Then you can do that. You can live in a freaking townhome, for crying out loud. Anyway.
Right. But there's ways, and it starts like your son. It starts early, and you try and set people up. And this is one of your things. You set people up for success when they're young. Now, look, I've tried to do the same thing. You're the expert. I am no
Oh,
expert. And I've talked to my sons, and my sons were, smart. They set up, I have one that's 25 and one that's 23. They've both set up their Roth IRAs. And,
oh, I love it.
I've watched the video that's saying, if you're 20 years old, you put $512 away a year, you're retiring with $1 million when you're ready to retire. So
Yeah.
how do you communicate that to people? Look, it's never too early, because look, you have kids and I have kids and we all know kids, and they just don't think about these things.
No, they don't. And for those that are listening, I'm going to correct you just from what you said. 512 a year, 512 a year. Everybody, what Andrew meant, of course, was 512 a month, which adds up to approximately the annual contribution of the $6,000 back in that time. Thanks. I want to make sure, because someone was freaking out. What do you mean $500 a year? But no, I love that, Andrew. And everybody listening, this is how simple it can be. And thank you for saying I'm an expert. Hey, us parents, we're just trying not to screw up our kids most days, right? So I do not hold myself out as a parental expert. Hell no. But here's the thing. Kids can have a Roth IRA as early as 1 year old. They just have to have earned income. Now, I don't have a Gerber baby that was getting a 1099, for modeling or sitting in a Michelin tire or whatever. But kids by age 5 or 6 were helping out in the family business, emptying trash, cleaning the office, shredding paper, blah, blah, blah. So the point is, once your kids have earned income, they can start contributing to a Roth IRA. That's point number one. Number two, when you pay them out of your business when they're under age 18, you get a tax deduction, and they don't even have to pay federal tax up to their standard deduction. You don't have to withhold FICA. You don't have to issue a W-2. There's no workers' comp. You can slave labor your own kids. Love it. It's awesome. Okay. So we're talking this year, that's almost 14 grand. Now, you're not going to pay a 4-year-old 14 grand, but we might pay a teenager that. Who knows? So that's point number two. You're getting a write-off to pay your kids so they can pay for their own school lunch or school clothes or soccer or baseball or whatever. So you're getting a write-off and not paying taxes at your bracket. You're shifting into your kids' bracket. Number three, now that they have this earned income, I love what you said, $500 a freaking month. That's $6,000 a year. You put that in a Roth IRA, even on a crappy 8% return, we're talking millions 20, 30 years from now. And we're teaching fiscal responsibility, and we're talking it about around the dinner table. Parents are afraid to talk about money because they don't feel like they have the skill set either to talk about it. But the Roth IRA is a fun conversation. And I'll just say number four, we have contests around the family. I've done it before. I'll say, okay, whoever puts the most in their Roth IRA this year, I'll match it. The first year I did it, I had one kid pay attention. At Christmas, I said, all right, show me your Acorns account. Who's got the Roth IRA? And all the 3 other kids were like, you were serious about that? And so I was like the little employer doing a match. And but it's been fun. It can be fun.
So you're talking about people who own businesses, and talk to me a little about anyone can own a business. Even if you have a full-time job, you can still own a business or set yourself up like a business, right, to take advantage of these things.
Yeah, well, after COVID or during COVID, we had the big formation. The Great Formation, it was called. We now have over 40 million side hustles in America. 40 million, because people are struggling out there. They got to make ends meet. They're picking up a second job. They're driving a little Uber, doing a little bit on Upwork or Thumbtack or StubHub. I mean, they're just like selling whatever they can to make a few extra bucks. Can we change our mindset a little and say, all right, I'm going to get out of some debt. I'm going to pick up this side hustle, but maybe I could then turn that side hustle into a wealth building machine where I can just put away an extra 5 or 10 grand a year, 15 grand a year, and I can do it tax free. Most side hustles, you're not paying tax on that first 15K. I got plenty of write-offs. We can chew that up. So now you're building more wealth tax free, putting it away, and a side hustle, it's a gateway drug. People, that is a small business. If you're driving Uber, that's a small business. Get over it. It's a Schedule C. It's a freaking awesome little write-off. And that again opens the door. And people, if they just realize they're sitting on a gold mine, they see their side hustle as a burden, as a problem, as a inferiority complex. Sorry, that's a tongue twister, but it's really an opportunity.
So I know the mindset of a lot of people are like, oh, I got to, do a side hustle or it doesn't have to be every day. And it could be
Mm.
once a week. It could be once a month. If you can pull in that extra money, you're getting huge tax breaks, right?
Yeah, well, a rental property is a side hustle. Where are we buying rentals? I want clients, I put it in my books, look at buying one rental a year or part thereof. You might call me up, Andrew, and go, hey, where's your kid going to college this year? Hey, my kid's going there too. Let's buy a rental in that town and split it in our LLC. Okay. And so you can partner with others, buy rentals where you travel, buy a rental by grandma. I owned a rental property for 10 years next to my mother-in-law. And so I didn't go for Thanksgiving. I went to check on my rental. Thanksgiving was a write-off every year. And so we got to think big here, rental properties and also online businesses. Ooh. Now, if we can start building some sort of online presence and making money while we sleep, cha-ching, that's a sweet side hustle.
So I've heard about the whole real estate thing. That interests me a lot, especially with one in college. I'm thinking, or I've had two in college, thinking, it's a great place to invest, although expensive. But look, you don't have to buy top of the line and get that sort of thing. And you can rent it out after that. How do people get started in rental properties?
Oh, this is fun. Where's your son going to medical school? Can I ask? Do you know?
He hasn't been accepted. He's just in the process of applying. He's knee deep in doing his secondary essays. So but my daughter's at Michigan. Okay. My daughter's at the University of Michigan.
Okay. And all right. Is that in Lansing? Am I right?
No, it's Ann Arbor.
Ann Arbor. Okay. So let's just think about that. Okay. Now, does a kid need to live down the street so they can ride their scooter or bike to the university? Maybe they could live in a small town 30 minutes away. And so we start to look at perimeter. That's the first thing. We got to choose our location. Where do we want to buy a rental? Where do I go? Where it makes sense for me? My son's going to medical school. I know he's going to increase his student debt, or they're going to work their butts off, or I'm going to have to help him. It's one of the three. Or why don't we create some cash flow or even break even cash flow by buying a little place 30 minutes away in a smaller town? Could be a duplex, could be a townhome, could be a condo, and we start looking for off-market deals. Call a realtor, start shopping. And all of a sudden you could be looking at a property that could break even cash flow, or instead of paying rent, it's paying down a mortgage. 3 years later, I'm ready to head off to residency. I might sell it for a profit, probably, or I'll at least cash in on my equity because I was paying rent to myself. And, or I might keep it as a rental. I love that. So we got to choose an area that makes sense. Then we choose that type of real estate. For some people out there, they're like, I don't have a kid at college. Maybe it's storage units. Maybe it's low income housing. It could be commercial strip malls, triple net leases. Some people, I don't want to plunge toilets. Great. Let's look at something that's, totally commercial. So it's a scary thought. And I want to connect with any of you listening that you're like, yeah, Mark, you make it sound easier than done. No, it's not easy. It's not a get rich quick scheme. It's a get rich slow scheme, and it works.
I like that because you preach get rich slow. It's not like, I'm going to invest in this stock. It's going to go up 10x. But hey, look, you start the foundation and you build. Eventually, you're sitting on a mountain of cash or a mountain of real estate that's just, making the cash register go. So in this economy and with these interest rates, yes, the Fed is talking about interest rates coming down. How do you borrow money as an entrepreneur or, get a mortgage or something like that when you're looking to get started in something like this?
Well, I think that's a great question. And let's look at it in two different ways. One is starting a business or buying real estate, because you said mortgage in there as well. So let's stay with real estate for just a moment. Do we have to go out and get a loan? Or maybe we, again, partner. We call up mom, brother, sister, and we say, hey, what do you got sitting in that crappy IRA over there that you don't know what its rate of return is, or this old 401k that's languishing on a statement you get every month and throw in the garbage? Let's grab that retirement account and self-direct it. So we can take our retirement accounts, pool them in an LLC, and buy real estate. We could partner with others that have great credit but no cash. And then we might have great credit and no cash, and we go out and find, it's easier to find money. And Andrew, this is the crazy part. It's easier to find money than deals. I know that sounds weird, but once you figure out your niche and you're like, I can find deals, money comes, because there's wealthy people that have no time that want to invest their damn money. And if you can partner with them and be careful and do it right legally, it's a huge win-win. I'd rather have 20% of a deal where I didn't put money in than no deal at all.
Yeah, yeah. So talk to me about that. You said we can put our 401k into an LLC and purchase real estate with that, tax free. How does that? I've never heard of that, so I am learning, and I appreciate you because I've just learned something new here today, and I hope our viewers did too. Because that's a vehicle with which you can probably get 10, 12, 15% on your investment that didn't cost you anything. So how does one take that money out of their 401k without having a tax consequence?
You bet. And I love that you posed the question at the very end, because I want to make sure everybody knows you are not taking money out of your 401k. You're redeploying it, investing in something you know. Now, this is the secret Wall Street does not want you to know. Whenever you hear about Peter Thiel having a $6 billion Roth or Mitt Romney having a $200 million Roth, it's because they took their retirement accounts and invested it in syndications and startups that they were working on. I've got real estate developers with $50 million Roth IRAs that started with 10 grand 10 years ago. You can take your Roth IRA and make it a part of many, many different types of projects. Real estate is what we're talking about, syndications, oil and gas, promissory notes, lending, small business. And so it's called Self-Directing. My podcast, the Directed IRA podcast, I know that you put some of this down in your show notes, Directed IRA podcast, we've been doing it for 4 years now, and there's billions of dollars in self-directed accounts where you get to invest in, you drive the car. That's the best analogy. A 401k is simply a car. You just happen to have a stockbroker or a job that says you're in the back seat, your money's in the trunk. Well, when you self-direct, you're like, get out of the front seat. I'm going to drive this car. It's still a 401k. You just get to choose what's in the trunk. And I don't want junk in your trunk. Let's go. Let's go and invest in what you know.
So you take that 401k, you put it into an LLC. Should it be an LLC? Should it be an S corp? Should it be a C corp? And because there's certain tax consequences for all of those things. And
yes,
how do you set that up so that you can actually do what you're explaining?
You bet. The goal here is no tax consequences at all. There's no penalties. You're not pulling money out of retirement accounts again. I'll say this on our podcast. We go through the first 20 episodes that we recorded, 2 or 3 years ago, walking through step by step, all the basics. So I'd recommend anyone just go listen to those first 10 episodes to 20 episodes and you'll freaking love it. We also have, my partner has the best-selling book on this, the Directed IRA Handbook, now in its second edition, Directed IRA Handbook, Matt Sorensen. Now, he didn't give me any money to plug that. I'm just want to help your listeners here. So let's go through, I'll go through it very simply and briefly here. Let's say you have an old 401k from a prior job. You're not working there anymore. If you're currently employed with a 401k, you got to leave it in that plan that the HR department set up for you because you're currently employed. But estimates are around 70% of Americans have an old 401k from a prior job, anywhere ranging from $5,000 to $100,000 just sitting there, and they don't know what the hell it's in. And sometimes it's just languishing back at the old employer. So the step one is to take that 401k and roll it to an IRA. So we want to roll it to a self-directed IRA at our trust company, directedira.com. You roll the money. There's no penalty. There's no tax. You just moved it from essentially Merrill Lynch to Fidelity. You've moved it from Fidelity to Directed IRA. On day 3, we call you up or email and go, what do you want to invest it in? So you got this IRA and we have the stock platform, but if you have a stock platform, just go over to Fidelity. But if you're like, no, I want to loan it to my sister's small business, or I want to do a promissory note on a first trust deed to a contractor down the street, or I want to buy a rental property, then you fill out a bi-direction letter and you would tell us, I created this new LLC. I want you to put that money in as the 100% owner of the LLC or a 20% owner. And by the way, my kids are Roth IRAs coming in, whatever, my mom's, my blah, blah, blah. So you set up this LLC. Our law firm's been doing this for 20 years. And that LLC's created. Your IRA funds the LLC in exchange for a membership certificate. This is like on day 4 or 5. Most of these we turn around in 10 days. And then the LLC has its bank account with your IRA now funded in there and what other pool of partners you bring together. And you're the manager of that LLC. No one else. That's not prohibited. Now, you can't give yourself a paycheck. You can't buy yourself a new cell phone or go to Hawaii and look for rentals. But you're going to manage that LLC, and you can start directing it, self-directing it into what you know best. We take no fee. That's your money. And so you get to self-direct it in that LLC and build it up. Peter Thiel started in 1999 with $6,000 or $5,000 in a Roth IRA, I think. It's now worth $6 billion. And every time he passed go every year, he'd put $5,000 in, $6,000 in, whatever the annual contribution was. But your return is unlimited. And so that's how you self-direct. Is that easy? I have a health savings account with an LLC, and I own this cute little low-income housing deal in South Chicago. It's the cutest little meth lab. And my health savings account owns that. So I've got rent from a rental property going tax-free into a health savings account that paid for my daughter's braces, tax-free. You can direct your HSA, your kid's college savings account, the ESA, Roths, 401ks, SEPs, simples, blah, 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 blah. So fun.
And on and on and on. Wow.
Yep.
I had another question, but you had mentioned trusts, and what's the advantage of setting up trusts for certain things? Do you set up trusts for real estate? Do you set up trusts for your savings? I mean, my wife and I are at the point where, like, we own 2 homes, and do we set that up in a trust just to protect our kids? And is that a wise thing to do?
It is. And there's so much misinformation out there in the industry on this. There's a lot of wolves in sheep's clothing that are overselling elaborate trusts, irrevocable trusts that are completely unnecessary. So let me say this to everybody listening. And if I say something here that conflicts with the advice you've received, anyone listening, please get a second opinion, because I stand behind this. 25 years as a lawyer, helping small business owners all over America. I've done my 10,000 consults. I've got 5 books out there. I write for entrepreneurs. I've got the credentials for this, people. I am standing behind this. 99% of Americans, all they need is a revocable living trust. It's a trust that you control during your lifetime, with or without your spouse, single, married, whatever. No kids, young or old. And that trust becomes the owner of all of your assets, your home, your 2 homes, your LLCs, your S Corps, beneficiary of retirement accounts. That trust can be modified at any time. It can have all sorts of rules. My kids get a third when they turn 25, a third when they turn 30, a third when they're 35, money to start a business, money to buy their first home. And if I'm still alive, I'm in control. It's a revocable living trust. 50% of Americans don't even have a will. We have a whole billion-dollar industry called probate court and probate lawyers, probate judges, because people don't plan. They think they're going to live forever. If everybody had a will and a trust, there'd be no probate. That's it. And so the revocable living trust is a wonderful trust to stay organized, create some privacy. I love privacy. And there's no asset protection with it. It's about a legacy. It's about privacy. And it's about being organized. Now, that other 1%, sure, we might do a domestic asset protection trust or an irrevocable, a charitable remainder trust, a life insurance trust, ILIT, in unique, very unique situations. So if anybody listening is getting pitched a $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 stupid asset protection trust structure, 2 LLCs in Wyoming and 1 in Nevada and 1 in people, I have never, ever, ever done that in my practice, and it's a waste of time.
I appreciate that. Is there a benefit to trying to set yourself up as an LLC with your employer? If your employer, obviously you lose the health insurance, you'd have to worry about that on your own. But if your employer says, okay, you know what, we'll make an independent contractor and we'll pay you as an LLC, is there a benefit to that?
Yes. Now, we're making a big assumption. States across the country are continuing to crack down on this because state unemployment, federal unemployment, workers' comp, FICA, the government, federal and states, do not like it when we try to convert an employee to a sub unless they really are a sub. So we want to make sure, and the risk is on the payor, not the recipient. If your employer shows up and says, hey, I'm going to give you a 1099 and not a W-2, say, okay, take it and run. If anybody gets in trouble, it's them. So, but So employers have to be very, very careful. If it looks like a duck, quack like a duck, walks like a duck, it's a freaking duck. And that's the same way it is with employees. Now, so let's assume you can qualify as a subcontractor and an employer's previous employer can now treat you like a subcontractor and you have a client. So we're not going to say paycheck or employer ever again. You have a client that's going to pay you as a subcontractor. If you're making more than 50 grand a year, you absolutely have to be an S corporation. Now, you may take an LLC and convert it to an S. You may just come right out of the gate as a PC or an Inc. But an LLC does not save taxes. LLCs do not save taxes. They're for protection, for structure, for organization, for branding. S corporations, S is in small. That's not escorts for those that are going to Vegas this weekend. They're S corps. S corps save taxes. And you just take an LLC and make an S election. It's super expensive. We charge $200. So you make that S election and you're off to the races. So yes, if you can get that relationship set up, hell yeah, all day long.
So, I've heard about converting your 401k to a Roth. You pay the taxes, but you convert it to a Roth. But now you've taken that, and there was a great article, exactly what you alluded to. There's a great article in the Wall Street Journal saying that there are billions upon billions of dollars sitting out there for people that have changed employers and completely forgotten about their 401k, and it's just sitting there not really making any money because they haven't directed it to make any money. It's sort of put on hold. So you're absolutely right about that, and the Wall Street Journal confirmed that people don't, once you leave your employer, they forget about the money they've actually put away for themselves. It's their money. So but converting your 401k to a Roth, benefits?
Oh, absolutely. And let's even back up here further. I know there's listeners out there that have already checked out on this topic. They're saying, my accountant said I make too much money. I can't have a Roth. Okay, let me repeat that. There are people listening right now that have been told by a dumbass that, excuse my French, people out there have told you you can't have a Roth or contribute to a Roth because you make too much money. It is outright misinformation, wrong, lie, stupidity. You can fund a Roth at any age with earned income at any income level. You use the back door. Now, if you want to go to the Roth party and walk in the front door, your income can't exceed 200 grand-ish, single or married. There's all the levels. I could read them off here. But you can go to the back door. What you do is set up a non-deductible traditional IRA, make your contribution, convert to Roth on the next day, tax-free. It's called a Roth conversion, backdoor Roth. Google it, people. I've got articles out your yin-yang on this. So that backdoor Roth non-income limit procedure is what allows anybody to convert a traditional old 401k or traditional IRA to Roth as well. I could convert $1 million tomorrow to Roth, any income level. Now I got to be ready to pay the tax on it. So what we teach is Roth chunking. If you came to me and said, hey, Mark, I've got a $500,000 traditional, I want it to be a Roth. You will always win in the long run being a Roth, especially the higher your rate of return, especially if you're self-directing, the higher your rate of return, the more the Roth wins. Because see, what the naysayers are saying is, well, you get a tax deduction now, and then when you pull the money out, yeah, you're going to pay tax, but you're going to be in a lower bracket. Oh, really? You've got a crystal ball. And do you know what my rate of return is going to be too? Because I'm going to have so much more money in this self-directing that when I pay tax on it, it's going to hurt. No deduction up front is going to pay for that crap. And so, oh yeah, well, if you change that, well, yes, because I'm not in Wall Street. I control my own damn money. So I've got money in Wall Street too, but I also self-direct and I have real estate. We want to be diversified. And that doesn't mean multiple types of stock. Okay. So anyway, converting to Roth wins every time. And I look at a client's tax bracket. So Andrew, you say, hey, I want to go Roth. Okay. What bracket are you in right now? Oh, in the 7 brackets right now, there's 2 break points where it's an 8% jump on to the next bracket. We never want to convert too much Roth that pushes us over one of those 2 break points. So if I'm going to only go up a 2% bracket or a 3% bracket, I'll say, ooh, I'll convert 100K this year. 150K. Hell, I'll even take out a mortgage on my house to pay the tax on that because I'll never pay tax again. Done. I just funded my retirement tax-free ATM for life. So let's pay that tax now. Go self-directed, get a 10, 15, 20% return, numbers off the chart. So I want to chunk at it, and maybe over 3, 5, or 6 years, I've now converted everything to Roth. But I don't have to take a bloodbath in 1 year and jump into a tax bracket that doesn't make sense. That's called chunking, Roth chunking. I got it from Chunk in the movie Goonies, 1984, Steven Spielberg. Thank you.
Yes. So that's another place. Now we go back to the real estate. You can actually, because you put, let's say you put in $100,000 into your Roth, that grows tax free. But at a certain point, you can take that $100,000 out tax free and use it to buy real estate.
Okay, well, first of all, I can put the money in my Roth and buy real estate now and grow it, flip properties, buy rentals, whatever the hell, double my money, triple my money, do developments, commercial developments, whatever, inside my Roth right now. I'm not pulling it out. I'm not paying penalty. I'm not paying tax. I'm building it tax-free. Then when I've had the Roth at least 5 years or 59 and a half, whichever's longer. So if I start at age 50, getting this going, by age 59 and a half, whatever's in that Roth, I can walk to the ATM and take it out tax-free anytime I want. There's no RMDs. There's no penalty. There's no tax. I love Dave Ramsey celebrates debt-free day. You know, when people finally pay off all their debt, they like video and it's my debt-free day. We celebrate 59 and a half over here because clients are now tax-free because we've been building our Roth. We want to build that Roth. So at 59 and a half, I can go grab money anytime I want and I can keep investing. I can keep putting more money in it. Boom, boom, boom.
So that real estate sits in the Roth IRA, really. It's the Roth actually owns that real estate. Mark Kohler doesn't own that real estate, although it's right. Your Roth IRA. So that's actually growing. And so do the rent checks that you would get if it's a rental property go back into that Roth IRA?
Yeah, well, maybe. What's your Roth IRA really own? Let's go back to our example. If I'm going to go do this, does my Roth IRA really go on title? The LLC does. See, remember, we're going to create an LLC owned by multiple Roths, my wife's Roth, my kid's Roth. I love Kid Rock, by the way. And so we're going to set up any of these Roth IRAs, form an LLC, and the LLC is the owner. The LLC is on title. The LLC has the non-recourse mortgage. You can borrow money. Go borrow. And there's banks that loan to IRAs. They have entire departments that do this. Wall Street doesn't tell you this. And so I can go buy real estate inside my Roth IRA LLC. The rent checks go to the LLC. The LLC pays the property taxes, the HOA, And when I'm ready, I sell the property tax-free.
You're singing. It's like singing. It's great music. Now, I want to get into one other question. What do you say to the person who says, you know what, I don't want to be a landlord. It's a pain in the butt. I have to worry about the property. How do you handle that?
Oh, well, I think that's a wonderful concern because you're already over the threshold. When you ask that question, if someone, were to ask that, they're already over the threshold that they're looking for something. See, they've already made the mindset, okay, I can't do single family home rentals. I don't want to plunge toilets. It's too much for me. It's too much headache. But what they're really saying is, what other options do I have? And there are people that build, let's just get started. There's entire industries of just carrying paper. So many people that are hard money lenders, I've got a hard money lending deal going right now. 12% per annum interest, 2 points. I'm making 14% on this money. 12% per annum, 2 points. And there's hard money lenders, they can't turn their money fast enough. They're turning it twice a year, making 16% on their money because they're averaging 12%. Every month, they're making 1% on their money. And then every time they redeploy the loan, they get 1. When they pay off the loan, they get a second point. And then they redeploy it in the same year. There's another 1. There's another. So if I can turn that loan twice in 1 year, I'm making 16%. I'm not collecting rent. I'm not plunging a toilet. I'm just a hard money lender. And you find contractors and fix and flippers and real estate investors that use hard money, and you're doing your due diligence and you understand first trust deeds and all the goes into that. We've got clients with $10-20 million Roth IRAs, and they've done it all through lending. They don't even want to own rentals. Now you could talk oil and gas. I've got clients doing oil and gas all day long, syndications, private equity. This is what private equity is. I'm going to use that money and go invest in some dream thing, whatever. And so it's just, we've got to get off the Wall Street wagon with a little bit of our money and just invest in what we know. That's the trick.
So one thing hot on Wall Street, or I guess starting to come back a little bit again, is cryptocurrency. I know that you're big into cryptocurrency. Talk to me about how you got started with cryptocurrency and where you think it's going.
Well, darn it, I'm almost embarrassed that I didn't bring that up. Right here on my phone, I'm going to just pull up my app. I have my Roth IRA completely deployed into cryptocurrency right here. And I can look at my rate of return on my 2 or 3 tokens I'm in right now, or coins. And I've got some Bitcoin, got some Solana. And rather than chew up time here, but a directed IRA, you can have a crypto Roth. You can have a 401k Roth. And you can have I'm going to repeat that, a 401k Roth crypto account with an app on your phone. You're now trading your Roth 401k in crypto daily, whatever you want to do. Our company partnered with Gemini years ago, one of the most reputable trading platforms out there for crypto. And your IRA can be trading crypto in 2 days. And so I love it. I think crypto is cryptocurrency and everything metaverse and NFTs. Every day there's more and more progress in this area of our lives, and it's not going away. I think that's me. Everybody, you find your own risk tolerance for whatever you want to invest in. But we've got thousands of clients with crypto. I have a crypto mine in my Roth IRA. So I own 7 cards on a CPU. It's in an LLC with my 5 kids. One's married, so it's 4 kids. One of them is married when we formed this LLC. So there's 6 partners in this LLC, and we bought into a CPU and we're crypto mining. We went into the project for 10 grand. I just pulled 1,000 from everybody's Roth IRA, maybe $1,500. Went out, bought our CPU, our graphics cards. We're crypto mining with NiceHash. Anybody that knows the NiceHash app. And so every 4 hours, my Roth IRA makes money. I'm getting paid in Bitcoin to mine Solana. Right here. I can watch right here on my NiceHash app. And so at our Crypto Tax Summit conference here in a couple months, I will be showing a diagram of how you crypto mine inside your Roth IRA. Anybody can do it.
Solana is up 50 points in the last week and a half. So I know that it's doing well. Talk to me about that crypto summit. It's in September, and what does it entail? What are you, what's the summit about?
You bet. It's in Anaheim, California, just around the corner from Disneyland. Make a 3 or 4 day trip out of it. It's going to be 2 days in Anaheim at the Sheraton. And it's the Crypto Tax Summit, where for 2 days, for crypto investors, tax professionals, legal advisors, financial advisors, we're going to answer any question you have via tax. Like, how is my trading taxed? How is mining taxed? How is staking taxed? How is DeFi taxed? What about NFTs, utility NFTs, collectible NFTs, digital assets, the metaverse? How is that all taxed? It's the number one question on the 1040 right now, people. If you haven't noticed it, open up your 1040 tax return for the last 3 years. It started 3 years ago. It's your name, your social, your status as you're filing. The first question under penalties of perjury: did you buy, sell, trade, own any sort of cryptocurrency this year? They changed the verbiage just a tad to make sure they grab everybody. Yes or no? People are afraid to say, well, and over 50% of Americans now own some form of cryptocurrency. So they've got to hit yes. What's that mean? Am I going to see a Schedule D? Am I going to see a Schedule C? What are you doing with your crypto? Have you reported it? Have you downloaded your transactions off the blockchain? Oh, well, Mark, I'm not taxed till I turn it to dollars. Think twice. You trade that Bitcoin for Solana, taxed. Well, I didn't touch it, taxed. So you got to know and don't hate the player, just hate the game. Come know the rules. Know the rules of the game if you're going to play. And so Crypto Tax Summit's going to be awesome. And we're going to be answering all of those questions. You will walk away crypto tax certified. You will know how it's taxed.
Do you think about the upcoming election when it comes to crypto or taxes in general?
Oh yeah. And I'm not going to be bashful about it. I mean, I can just talk policy. I don't need to throw out epithets or, personal attacks. The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act that Donald Trump passed when he was first in office was the most comprehensive tax reform since Ronald Reagan. And it was incredible. And it was not just for the rich. You talk to my small business owners, it was a game changer. The tax write-offs for bonus depreciation and auto, families, small business, it was incredible. And it's been phasing out for 8 years. It is going to be completely gone by the end of this year. And we've got bonus depreciation legislation. Hopefully that'll stick around. Who knows? We got opportunity zones. The list goes on and on. None of that is being offered under the prior Biden administration. I'm sure Kamala Harris is not talking about it. And so I don't care. Everybody, you go vote how your heart tells you. But if you want to vote with tax legislation in mind and you want to save money and make money and build your business and grow your business, it's kind of a no-brainer. And I'm sorry. And you might have to sacrifice some other things you believe in. I don't know. Maybe you don't. But don't think you're going to kid yourself into seeing better economic stimulus and better tax legislation with the Democrats. It's not going to happen. It never has. And I'm not saying bad things about Democrats. There's a lot of great policies the Democrats have, but one of them is in economics. It's not. Let's be real.
So, Mark, where can we find you? I know you have 2 podcasts. So talk to me about the 2 podcasts and where we can find them.
The Directed IRA podcast, directedIRApodcast.com, and then the Main Street Business podcast, mainstreetbusinesspodcast.com. We just did the open forum show today where we answer questions from around the country. We have over 400 shows, I think over 4 million downloads now. And it's just about small business, building wealth, saving taxes, yada, yada. Love it. And you can get to markjkohler.com. And that's my landing page that leads to the law firm. All roads lead to markjkohler.com. But the law firm, Directed IRA, our trust company, my network of CPAs around the country. I've got the Main Street Tax Pro certification program that'll have over 1,000 enrolled agents and CPAs following an 80 test module system of tax advisory strategies. They speak Mark Kohler. They have to meet with me every week to be on that list. And you can find an advisor near you to get a strategy plan. And it can be affordable. My tax lawyers are like $1,600 to build an entire trifecta plan for your asset protection and tax strategy, and then move forward. Anyway.
So markjkohler.com. What about social media? Are you on the social media?
Oh yeah. You type Mark Kohler. I'm green. I know the little blue check mark, whatever my social media team talk about. Verified on all the platforms. I get 1 million view video here every few weeks, and I'm the leader of the nerds. So if you're a nerd and you like to save money and make money, you just follow me. My YouTube platform is huge. We're going to probably hit 500,000 subscribers this year. And the videos just are so clean and make sense. And just use it as a second opinion, people. I'm not saying you got to call and hire me or my firm or whatever. Just consume a little bit more of this content. It is the number one cost in your life is not a mortgage on your house. It's taxes. And you may not see it because they're getting withheld from your paycheck, or some of you that are entrepreneurs see it a lot more and thrown in your face. Taxes are your number one cost, and no one wants to talk about it. It's too boring, too complex. No one can make sense of it. Well, guess what? Mark Kohler's making effing sense of it. Get over to my podcast, get to my YouTube channel, come check it out, and we have fun. You can hopefully sense my style here. We keep it real. I'll totally piss you off with some bad jokes sometime, but just stay around for the content.
Well, Mark, I really appreciate it, and I know our viewers will really appreciate it. And hopefully, the ones who need it will reach out, and we can set up some trusts and get some LLCs and use that money properly. I hope that's actually the case.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Andrew. You have a great show. Your questions were spot on. And such an honor to be here today. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. That's a wrap on another discussion here on Wealthion. Thank you for joining us. If you need help being financially resilient, please head over to wealthion.com. Sign up for a free, no obligation consultation and portfolio review with one of our registered investment advisors. And remember to follow us on social media for the latest news and information to help you invest wisely. If you could like and subscribe to the channel, we would greatly appreciate it. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you can find out when we post new videos to the channel. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, stay informed, be empowered, and may your investments flourish. And if you like this content, please watch this video next.